So the message is hard to miss. It's in all caps, bolded, underlined. You can see it here. It says, enough. Surrounded by an American flag that has been tattered and burned. The visual alone stops you in your tracks, but it's the messages that are in smaller font around the border that are maybe even more arresting. They say things like, you've got the most to lose, and bye-bye Roe versus Wade, and fast track to fascism. On the bottom of the image is a simple request. It just says, vote. This piece of artwork was designed not just to be on posters, it was put on big billboards, like this one along the highway outside of Bullhead City, Arizona. Enough of Trump, vote. This was part of a hugely ambitious Get Out the Vote campaign ahead of the 2020 election, one that featured street art and billboards and projections on the side of buildings from some of the country's leading and edgiest artists. The campaign targeted voters in swing states with that simple message, varieties of that simple message, enough, meaning enough of President Trump. One term is enough. In Detroit and in Pittsburgh and in Orlando, there were billboards like this one that showed an older African-American man. Alongside him, the words, enough of Trump. On street corners, there were digital signs. Some were very, very much to the point. This one says, basta, enough in Spanish, enough. Here's another, enough noise and lies. Give me some truth. If you're recognizing the style of this artist here, it may be that you are familiar with some of his other work. You know his name, Shepard Fairey. Shepard Fairey is a hugely influential and accomplished figure in American art. He produced what many people consider to be the most memorable piece of political art in this century, the iconic Barack Obama Hope poster from 2008. In that 2020 election, Shepard Fairey was one of the driving forces behind this ambitious Get Out the Vote campaign. Enough. We need democracy. It urged Americans in swing states all over the country to say enough to Trump, to get out and vote. That was 2020. Well, now in 2024, Shepard Fairey is helping spearhead another effort by artists to get people to the polls, to galvanize people, to make people think, to make people act. Together with the progressive organization People for the American Way, Shepard Fairey is hoping to move Americans, particularly in battleground states, move people to get up and do their part to defend democracy at the polls. The campaign is expected to launch billboards in swing states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and Arizona. They're also going to do digital ads and radio PSAs. And the visuals behind the campaign this year are just as striking as they were in 2020, if not more so. One of them is this image from artist Beverly McIver with a uterus helping to spell out the word vote. It's also the work of Mr. Fairey himself. Look at this. This one says, defend democracy against fascism. Lift every vote. Vote. This campaign for the 2024 election starts tomorrow. Shepard Fairey joins us live here next. Stay with us. When Donald Trump was inaugurated as president in January of 2017, you may remember that he came into office promising to ban Muslims from entering the United States, promising to build a wall on the southern border, promising mass deportations. You may also remember that there were mass demonstrations against him, including the massive, unprecedentedly large women's marches in Washington, D.C. and around the country, indeed around the world. One of the images that was carried at those first anti-Trump protests was created by the artist probably best known in the world of politics for his iconic image of President Obama in 2008, the iconic Obama Hope image. But in 2017, it was this image, among others, by artist Shepard Fairey, that was carried by people protesting at the outset of Trump's time as president. He says, "We the people." And then below that says, defend dignity. Joining us now is artist, social activist Shepard Fairey. Mr. Fairey, thank you so much for taking time to be here this evening. It's an honor to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
What are you planning for 2024, and what effect are you hoping that it will have?
Well, I'm part of a group called Artists for Democracy, which is under the umbrella of People for the American Way. And a group of us, me and several other artists, are all hoping to save democracy, to keep Trump from being reelected, and to, preserve the systems that allow us to participate meaningfully and move towards a better future. I think, the arts can really help to connect people with big ideas, important big picture concepts that resonate emotionally. And, the arts help to define civilization, and I think they can help to save it. So that's what we're trying to do. No civilization without, as we know it, without democracy.
You're not a stranger to this kind of work, either conceptually. I know a lot of these concepts undergird your work in general, but also in these efforts around elections and around important political moments to try to use the arts to move people. And I mean that in multiple senses. Do you feel like over time your thinking about it has changed, that you've seen things that work in ways that you might not have expected, or that you've seen people have reactions to things that weren't necessarily what you would have anticipated when you were creating the art or working with your colleagues to create stuff?
Well, for example, you showed some of the We the People images from 2017. That was at a time when the dominant narrative was that people were only responding to anger, fear, division, and that something that was about unity and inclusion and everyone having equal humanity and being equally American was not going to resonate, but it did. So sometimes I go with my feeling of, if there seems to be a lack of addressing what's really important to me, that I know a lot of other people are feeling, that maybe putting that out there can work. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. I believe that my work is an ongoing dialogue with the people of this country and the world, and I'm learning all the time. But I really trust my instincts around my hope and my optimism that we are better than some of the dominant narratives really suggest.
Do you feel like the sort of conventional wisdom, the common wisdom that, I mean, it sounds a little bit like what you're just describing about 2017, that the Democratic base, for lack of a better term, is demoralized, that people aren't motivated to vote to try to save democracy or to try to keep our system of government, for all its flaws, that division is more motivating, that hatred is more motivating than inclusion and then solidarity? Do you take issue with that conventional wisdom? Do you feel like you have a more hopeful view of things, or are you kind of banking on it but not sure it's there?
I'm banking on it because I think that I have to. I think we all have to, but we have to not just bank on it. We have to be vigilant. And so my strategy is to remind people what's at stake. And I think that when people understand that if they want to pursue something better in the long term, even something they're not super excited about in the short term, that allows the preservation of democracy and a better result if they remain vigilant in the long term, reminding them of the promise of that, and that we all have not just a privilege to participate in democracy, but an obligation to make democracy function by voting, by educating ourselves on the issues. And none of that is super exciting for a lot of people. But what I try to do is I try to make images that connect with people's sense of their better humanity, nurturing the better side of their humanity with images is what I'm hoping to do.
contemporary artist, social activist, Shepard Fairey. It is an honor to have you here, Shepard. Thank you very much for being here, and good luck with the campaign.
Thanks so much for having me, Rachel.
All right. Starts tomorrow. All right. We'll be right back. Stay with us.